Project Consulting. We're doing a Facebook or YouTube live today where we're going through Prince 2 as a certification. So a lot of you are probably really familiar so far in your project management journey about the stuff that comes from the PMI, so the PMP and the CAPM certifications. But if you are outside of North America, if you're in the United Kingdom, the Prince 2 Foundation, or the Prince 2 certificate for project managers is kind of the leading designation or certificate that's out there. A lot of folks have asked questions in the last couple of months. What's the difference between Prince 2 and PMP? Is one easier than the other, or how do they compare? So we're just going to walk through some of that stuff and get folks a little bit more familiar with what to expect on the Prince 2 as well as the PMP exams. And if we've got some time, I'll go into the comparing and contrasting the CAPM and the Prince 2 Foundation certificate or designations as well. So let's crack into it. Also, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. And in chat, we're going to have a link to a PMP exam, quiz bank for folks to get themselves a bit more familiar with the PMP exam. Plus, don't forget, we've also got our PMP prep guide that we give out to folks. So all you have to do is just like and subscribe, and we'll make sure you get that comment or get that book as well. Okay, so just going through it, what is the Prince 2? So the Prince 2, that stands for Projects in Controlled Environments, second edition. It was created by the United Kingdom, or in the UK, I should say. So it was used on government projects back in the day, IT projects back in the day in the UK. It basically arose and is competing with the PMP certificate amongst project management folks. So the Prince 2 is what you'd normally find if you were to go to the UK and were working in the project management space. That is the required certification for most folks working over there. In terms of like what it covers, so it is it covers it's principally rooted in IT. So it's a little bit different than the CAP or the PMP in that regard. The other thing with that is as of late, it doesn't go into like discussing the hybrid and agile methodologies per se. It just covers the general gist of how to run an IT project. And they apply a lot of somewhat prescriptive approaches to things. What you'll notice is if you study for both the PMP and the Prince 2, you're going to start seeing a lot of terminology that's similar but different. So Prince 2, they're going to talk about project initiation documents as a collective, and the PMP, we're going to be talking about charters and that kind of thing. So it's very, very similar, but because it's the UK, different group, different organization, it's a different vernacular or different terminology that's used in the Prince 2, but they're basically equivalent in my mind, at least. So the prerequisites for the PMP, you need 36 hours of 36 months rather of leading projects, and then you'll need PMP education, so up to 24 hours of in-class, or sorry, 36 hours of in-class experience with an instructor. With the Prince 2, there's really no requirements. So if you are new to project management and kind of want to get a certification behind your belt, hey folks, thanks for joining. Prince 2 might be the right option for you. Really low barriers to entry compared to the PMP, where you need a lot of education and work experience to go behind it. The Prince 2, like in terms of cost, typically you're going to be paying around $300 to $500 per provider to get you that, to get you prepped up for the exam. There's no requirement that you have any prep course to get you ready to write the exam, but it's strongly recommended that you do so, just so you're not, walking in, blind. With the PMP, of course, you could be paying anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 as well. So it's pretty wide in terms of price. When you write the exam itself, the Prince 2 cert, that's going to be about $500 US to write that thing, versus $655 US as of today. So slightly cheaper. When it comes to how long is the Prince 2 certificate good for folks, compared to the PMP, hey, thanks for joining. You're going to be looking at 3 years for validity for the PMP and 3 years for the Prince 2. So pretty equivalent in that regard. In terms of maintenance, with the PMP, folks, you have to maintain a certain amount of PDUs, or professional development units, which is basically 1 hour of education in class or online webinars, whatever the hell. And that needs to get documented and logged with the PMI, and that'll count towards maintaining 60 PDUs in a 3-year period. With the Prince 2, it's pretty much the same thing. It's 60 CPDs, or continuing project development, continuing education courses effectively, and in a 3-year cycle. So pretty similar in terms of its maintenance structure. Both the PMP and the Prince 2 offer you the ability to subscribe to like their database of certificate maintenance education. So with the Prince 2, you're looking at about $120 per year, or about $150 per year with the PMP. And both of those subscriptions just give you access to their list of webinars, education, etc., to maintain the certificates. So both are pretty good in that regard, but Prince 2, because of its lack of barriers to entry, is perhaps, depending on your career, maybe the right choice for folks to take a look at, or something that they should look at. When it comes to, is Prince 2 right for me? Because we're looking at things that are pretty much the same price, pretty much the same 3 years each for maintenance, the exact same amount of education to maintain these things. Why is one better than the other, or is one better than the other? Long and short of it is, it just depends on where you live. So in North America, if you are a project manager, employers are going to be looking for that PMP behind your name, full stop. Prince 2, if you have the Prince 2 in North America, it's not nearly as recognized or as known. It's not got the same level of brand recognition as the PMP. If you're in the UK, the Prince 2 is going to be the standard. If you're in parts of Western Europe, the Prince 2 is going to be the standard. So it just kind of depends on where you live and where you plant your feet. If you are trying to work remote in the United Kingdom and live in the North America, having the Prince 2 is going to help you really work well with foreign PMOs, or project management offices, because they're going to be talking about things like initiation documents, and you won't necessarily know what that means unless you speak the same language or have gone through the same education. So the Prince 2, I wouldn't say it's better than the PMP. It just might be better for you based on where you live. The other thing to note is, just like the PMP or the offerings from the PMI, we have the CAPM over in North America, or the Certified Associate of Project Management, which is basically for the folks who are fresh out of university or fresh out of high school who want to get some education, or want to get a certification rather. So there's no barriers to entry for that. There's no years of experience. You just need 23 hours of in-class training to get that certification, plus write and pass the exam. With Prince 2, they have something very similar, which is designed for folks who are new to their career, which is the Foundation Certificate, or the Foundation Prince 2 Foundation piece. Thanks for joining, folks. I see a lot of popcorn and octopi in chat. Thanks for that. I'm not sure what that means, but I do love it. Hey, Christmas trees, absolutely. Yeah, it's December 24th where I'm at, and it might be Christmas for you. So Merry Christmas to folks. Thanks for tuning in to a Facebook, or a YouTube Live rather, based on project management certs. So Prince 2 Foundation, easier to get. It's equivalent in terms of the length of the exam, but the real difference is, or at least up until 2020, was the Prince Foundation cert. You didn't have to maintain it. Once you had it for your entire life, which was really good for folks because it was super cost effective and easier to deal with. Nowadays, because capitalism, Prince 2, you have to maintain this every 3 years, so you're going to have to spend some money to maintain those PDUs, or you can choose to rewrite the exam and maintain it that way. So it's a good option for folks who are kind of newer to their career. If you're comparing, do I get the practitioner or the PD or the foundation? It just kind of depends. It's slightly lighter of a test on the foundation versus the practitioner, but both now are requiring you to go through the maintenance process, so that does kind of suck. But for me, my general advice is, because there's no recommendation or requirement rather for years of work experience for either cert from Prince 2, just get the full meal deal now. Just get the Prince 2 in the bigger version of the practitioner certification, because the foundation one no longer has that benefit in my mind of it's a one and done exam or one and done certification and you're good to go. And then, of course, the PMI, they've got the CAPM, which is equivalent, useful for new graduates or folks trying to break into the project management space. We all know from PMI stuff that you do have to maintain that one as well. That's 15 PDUs every 3 years. plus, any of the associated membership fees of around like $60 if you're a member with a local chapter. So neither of these things are particularly cheap, but the, Prince 2 folks do have a, I guess, equivalent to the CAPM as well as the PMP. So something to be aware of as you're going out there. Yeah, in my mind, in North America, PMP is the way to go. But just be cognizant that there's many options out there in terms of the project management space. The PMI isn't the only game in town, and in fact, if you're trying to work in Europe or the UK, you'll be surprised that no one's going to be speaking your language. They'll be using the Prince 2 terminology instead. But if you looked at the two exams in terms of their content, you're going to see that these things are more or less equivalent. What used to be the case was the PMP exam was basically a memory exam. And nowadays, with the revisions that we had in PMBOK 7 and the revisions now in PMBOK 8, it's way less about memory and way more about how you handle certain situations. The Prince 2 exam is still very much a memory-based exam where you have to remember what comes next in terms of their sequence of how projects should run. I think they're a little bit more dogmatic in terms of their processes and flows. So if you're working in really regulated environments or really tightly controlled environments, Prince 2 might be the way to go. But if your projects are a bit more ephemeral and way less strict in terms of their governance, the PMP is probably the choice to make because it's a bit more, in my mind, practical. It's more tailorable. It's way more about, size fitting. I think the Prince 2 is, they've gotten better at, their tailoring approaches, but they're very prescriptive in terms of what every single project must have or what documents every single project must have. Hey, to Timmy, 21033. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. We're just chatting about Prince 2 versus PMP and which is right for whomever. So if you got any questions on these, just let me know. Again, I'm with Osprey Project Consulting. We do PMP training and project consulting stuff for folks. A lot of trying to give back as we can in the education space for project managers. So yeah, basically do some homework, figure out which one's right for you, the Prince 2 or the PMP. Either one of these are equivalent. Again, no certification is going to guarantee you that you get a job, especially in today's job marketplace, at least in North America. Lots of layoffs going on, a lot of difficulty even trying to get an interview, let alone get the position. These certifications will put your name on top of a stack of resumes, but it's not going to guarantee you absolutely anything at all. So take that with a grain of salt, that if you're always chasing certifications and hoping for like the next cert to guarantee you something, it's not the case. And if you're an employer and you're hiring folks that have got Prince 2 CAPM, PMP, or Prince 2 foundations, bear in mind that just because an applicant has one of these certs doesn't mean that they're necessarily qualified to be running your projects or be running a multi-million-dollar tech or construction project. These are, take it with a grain of salt. This is somebody who's just shown interest in solidifying their knowledge in the project management space and doesn't necessarily translate into on-the-job competency. But it's a really good measure of somebody who's willing to put themselves out there and somebody who knows the language of project management. And I was chatting on that when we kicked off this video, that's just the difference between Prince 2 and PMP. Same stuff, it's just different terminology and different language. Once you master the language in either one of these domains and can speak intelligently to members of your PMO or project management office or members that you're, on your project team, if everyone's on the same page, you're